My wife's own rules on cheating. At first, it was just my fantasy, a marriage led by my wife, my total submission to Janice, her total domination over me. Janice didn't want to agree. I tried to explain to her the advantages of this way of life. She was naturally dominant, she recognized that. The idea that she could be controlled clearly appealed to her. I offered to take over all the household chores while Janice pursued her career. She was an entry-level executive at a women's clothing company. I was working as an accountant. My workday was shorter and more flexible than hers. The idea actually made sense. In the end, Janice agreed. Janice liked to get pleasure in bed, and I liked to give it. I didn't mind. I wanted to be Janice's submissive husband. I wanted to serve her. Despite the inequality of our marital roles, Janice could not accept formal recognition of her dominance and my submission. Husbands are not supposed to be submissive. It's unnatural. I decided to hold off. My wife was an intelligent woman. I believed that in time she would realize the obvious benefits of fully embracing the lifestyle I was promoting. I read on the internet about cuckolding. It suited my submissive masochistic tendencies. In bed, when I made love to Janice, I used a toy and I started calling her lover. This was infuriating her. We gave her a name. We called him Jerome. Janice loved spending time with Jerome. One night in bed, I suggested that maybe we should try to find the real Jerome for Janice. She was shocked. She accused me of not loving her. She made me sleep on the couch in the finished room in the basement. After a week, Janice decided to forgive me. I went back upstairs, and we had amazing makeup sex. When I made love to her, I used a toy. Janice exclaimed, "Oh, Jerome, I missed you so much." The next night, we made love again. After that, Jerome became the center of our lovemaking again. Several months passed. One night, after I had made love to Janice several times with Jerome, she asked, "Marky, do you remember the night you suggested I play with the real Jerome?" I replied, "Yes, I remember, and if I remember correctly, you got very angry about it." "Yes, I know I was, but you surprised me. You caught me off guard. I'd like to talk about it again." "Okay, go ahead." I realized that with Janice, it was better to let her take the lead in serious conversations. "Are you really going to let me play with another man?" "Janice, the last time we discussed it, I had to sleep in the basement for a week." "I know. I'm really sorry about that. I overreacted." "Are you saying you won't overreact again?" "I promise." "Do you think you'd like to play with another man?" "Not if it makes you angry." 2 weeks later, we were in a hotel cocktail lounge in a town 400 miles east of our home. Janice was sitting at a table with a handsome young salesman from Buffalo, New York, named Brad. I sat 3 tables away from them and watched them flirt with each other. 20 minutes later, Janice and Brad were on their way up to his room. That was in early March. 2 weeks later, we did it again. The next week, we went to a bar in our town. Janice brought her gambling partner to our house. He had sex with her in our bed while I waited in the basement. After he left, I slept on a wet spot and washed the sheets the next day. By the 1st of May, Janice and I started seeing each other every Thursday night. I sat at the bar and watched her pick up a new man. They would dance for a while, and then Janice would bring him home. I would sneak into the house and watch TV in the basement while they played upstairs in our bedroom. During this time, Janice and I still made love at least twice a week. Jerome was the only one who managed to make love to Janice, but she always gave me a nice bonus before bedtime. In mid-July, Janice informed me that I could no longer accompany her on her manhunt. She claimed I was disrupting her style at the bar. I dutifully stayed home. In August, Janice met Steve. He was handsome and, by all accounts, a successful lawyer. At 31, he was 2 years older than Janice and me. They took a liking to each other. 3 days after their evening together, Steve called Janice and asked her out again. I was worried. Janice told me not to worry. That Friday night, Steve took Janice out to dinner. After dinner, she brought him to our house. He stayed all night. I slept on the couch in the basement. Saturday, he was back again. The next week, Janice and Steve spent 3 evenings together, one of them at his apartment. The following Friday, Janice told Steve about me, and we were introduced. He treated me favorably at first, but gradually his favor turned to indifference, and then indifference turned to contempt. 2 weeks after meeting Steve, Janice informed me that we could no longer have sex of any kind. Steve didn't want to share with her. I wasn't happy, but decided to be patient. Over time, new toys often lose their luster. Steve began to spend more and more time at our house. I was told to stay in the basement while he was present. Saddened, I contemplated divorce and sought legal counsel, but decided against it. Janice had once been a good wife. I wasn't ready to give her up so easily. Steve moved his clothes into the bedroom closet. My stuff moved to the basement. I contemplated divorce again, but refrained. My attorney was convinced that my position would be stronger if Janice initiated the divorce. A month later, she did just that. The divorce papers were handed to me at the office. I refused to move out of our home. Janice tried to get a restraining order. My attorney argued that although I had reasons, I had not threatened Janice or tried to interfere with her relationship with Steve. The restraining order was denied. Much to Janice and Steve's displeasure, I was allowed to continue living in our home. A week later, Steve and Janice moved into an apartment. They were not happy. The terms of the divorce were easily negotiated. Janice and I made about the same salary, we had equal assets, and we both agreed to divide the property acquired during the marriage. I loved Janice. But if she didn't want to be with me, that was her prerogative. Revenge, financial or otherwise, was unnecessary. For the next 5 months, Janice called me at least once a week. She claimed she wanted to maintain a friendly relationship. I suspected that Steve was unaware of these calls. I was polite, but not verbal. The day of the divorce hearing came. Janice, Steve, and their attorney sat on one side of the courtroom. My attorney and I sat on the other. Janice tried to make eye contact with me. I ignored her. After all, she was divorcing me. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that she and Steve didn't seem to be as in love with each other as they used to be. The divorce was finalized. All of our assets were divided 50-50. I was happy with the decision, but I was unhappy that I had lost the woman I loved. As I left the courtroom, I noticed that Janice and Steve weren't walking hand in hand. In fact, they weren't even walking next to each other. A week later, I was working at my desk when Patricia, my secretary, walked into my office. "Mark, your ex-wife is here. She wants to see you. What should I do?" Smiling, I replied, "Let's find out what she wants. Send her over." Patricia left. A minute later, Janice walked into my office. We stared at each other. After a moment, I said, "Hi, Janice, what can I do for you?" "Marky?" I held up my hand. "When you stopped loving me, you gave up the right to call me Marky. My name is Mark." Janice closed her eyes and sighed. After a moment, she opened them again and said, "I'm sorry. I understand. Mark is your name. But I never stopped loving you." "Really? What about the fact that you put me in the basement for the time your lover visited you? How about the fact that you made me move my clothes to the basement so your lover could take my half of our closet? How about the fact that you divorced me so you could marry your lover?" Janice stared at me for a moment, then said, "I'm not going to marry Steve, and I'm sorry, I screwed up. I screwed up really badly." Nodding slowly, I said, "Okay." "You're not going to make it easy for me, are you?" "You didn't make it easy for me." I loved Janice, but she hurt me. I wasn't ready to be nice. "No, I didn't make it easy. I was a fool." "Is this confession supposed to make things better?" Janice whispered, "No, of course not." Feeling more charitable than I should, I asked, "What happened to Steve?" Mark. It was so strange. The more we were together, the more we didn't like each other. Steve came across as controlling, overbearing, and insanely jealous. He was convinced I was going to cheat on him. You cheated on me. No, I didn't. I had your permission to date Steve. Actually, you only had my permission to date Steve the first time. After that, you made your own rules, and you certainly didn't have my permission to fall in love with him. Why didn't you object? Why didn't you fight for me? I did object. You refused to listen to me, and if I had tried to fight for you, would it have helped? Sighing, Janice replied, No, it wouldn't have helped. Steve was just a fantasy. As it turned out, that's all he was. But I should have realized that on my own. Those words made me think that Janice might actually deserve the risk of a second chance. Still, I was wary. She had hurt me. I waited. Mark. I'm sorry. It's hard for me to stop calling you Marky. I nodded, but said nothing. Janice said, Mark, I miss you so much. Do we have a chance? Any chance at all? That's all I'm asking for, a chance. I know I've hurt you. Please give me a chance to fix it. I will work every day to make it up to you. I promise I'll never hurt you again. Why don't we start with dinner Friday night? Really? That would be wonderful. Janice, you have to realize that if we get back together, we'll have rules. Encouraged, Janice replied, Of course I understand. But then she paused. After a moment, she asked, What are the rules? First of all, if you want to date a guy more than twice, you'll have to get my consent. Janice smiled. I can live with that. The end. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you.